to Wake Up America Weekend. I'm Alison Maloni alongside guest host TW Shannon. And let's take a look at the state of business. With the help on that, let's welcome in Executive Vice President of the Commonwealth Foundation, Jennifer Stefano. And in studio with us, America's accounting professor at Montclair University, Dan Geltrude. Dan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I do, we always like to show your shoes when you're in studio. You've got the money shoes going on today.
Yeah, I got the green going, green tie to match.
I love it.
I'm ready to go. It's tough competition with the two of you, so I got to do something.
The good news, Dan, when we're on the sofa with Alison, nobody's looking at us anyway, right? It doesn't really matter,
true.
right? So we better say something worthwhile.
We have to get Jennifer. We have to get you into the studio so you can show off your shoes.
You know what? I'm freezing. I have boots on, but I put on leg warmers, 80s leg warmers, to harken back to the days when the low taxes, less government Ronald Reagan was in the White House. So how about that? But Dan's shoes, they're beautiful.
I love it. They are nice.
And
they're in time for the holiday season. Green. There you go.
They're beautiful.
All right, let's get to the big story this weekend, Jennifer. From a 24-hour period spanning Friday morning to Saturday morning, Bitcoin's price went from about $57,000 to $47,000, losing $10,000 or more than 17%. Your thoughts?
I think a lot of this is due to the volatility of the Biden administration and their response to variants of COVID. This is going to now be happening with it. COVID is endemic, meaning it's going to be with us ad infinitum, similar to the flu. And we need to have a reasoned, measured, and consistent response as a government. We can't always go into panic mode, and we have to have a controlled message and a controlled way of handling it. Shutting down businesses again, shutting down flights. This is really bad and causing volatility, not just with Bitcoin, but across the board and across industries.
Yeah, we see that with the market. Anytime you have this new variant, Dan. What's the fascination with Bitcoin? Do you think it's starting to wane a little bit?
Well, I think Jennifer brought up a good point related to the fact that this is a very volatile investment. So if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, you have to be able to ride that wave up and down. Now, here's what's interesting about Bitcoin. A lot of people were moving to Bitcoin as opposed to gold, which where they had been going to hedge what was happening in the market. So now you have to question, say, well, what's happening with Bitcoin? But listen, if you're going to invest in Bitcoin, you need to be an experienced investor. People get caught up with the shiny object of Bitcoin. I'm going to be a millionaire. It doesn't happen that way.
Young people are absolutely enamored with it. It's amazing the number of young entrepreneurs who are just, completely inundated with, Bitcoin and what it could do for the future. But Dan, would you say there's a connection between the sell-off that's happened with Bitcoin and the recent jobs report that was really quite abysmal, I think, by any standard?
Well, I think what's happening with the job report is that was a shocker for everyone, right? And right now, everybody's talking about inflation, supply, demand. We know we have a lot of demand. What's on the supply side? Labor. We need labor. So to see those job numbers come in at 40% of expectation, that's a disaster.
Yeah, that wasn't what they were expecting.
Well, it's been amazing.
But if you watch President Biden on Friday, everything seemed to be just fine. We're going in the right direction.
The way they tried to spin it was just amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah. Jennifer, speaking of the jobs report, as we mentioned, Friday's numbers fell far short of expectations. We should be in an economic boom right now, but it seems like we're seeing disappointing numbers month after month.
That's right. And even the unemployment number, if you look at it, a 4% unemployment rate is de facto close to zero as you can get. So why isn't there prosperity in the air? It's because we have a low and a depressed labor participation rate. We still have millions of people who have not come back to work. Why? Well, in August, Merrill Lynch dropped a very enlightening report that a household of four with two parents working received an average of $100,000 in benefits from unemployment or partial unemployment and stimulus checks. That is six figures, I just said, $108,000. So I think we really need to think about what the government's doing in this Build Back Better program and how this is going to disincentivize labor. You'll never solve these supply chain issues. Not via the government if they do this.
I think we have a graphic to show, talk about job numbers and economic growth, if we have that. Historic day, right? So the holiday season sees economic growth both in the job market and stock market. Dan, your forecast for this November?
Well, I'm really hoping through the holiday season that we're going to be able to have the supply to meet demand. If we can do that, we are going to have a prosperous holiday season economically.
Well, that's good. That's good news.
Well,
I'm gonna be optimistic.
Oh, absolutely. I'll take all the optimism we can get right now. Former President Trump's social media site, Dan, announced that they have entered into agreements to raise $1 billion for Truth Social. This is a competitor to Twitter, as you know. Is Trump really going to take Twitter down? I mean, what's your estimation on that?
Well, I don't think he's going to take Twitter down per se, but the big challenge he's going to have is he going to be able to get the app up anywhere? Look, we saw Parler trying to have some success in this area. What happened? They got shut down. So if President Trump can find a way to get this app out there, he can have some success.
Yeah, that's going to be the problem, right? Because Apple and Google, they'll be like, yeah, no, forget it. We're not going to let you host. We're not going to house you on our platform. Finally, I want to get to this story because it's from Massachusetts. It's surprising to me to see this, Jennifer. A Let's Go Brandon store opened in Massachusetts right in time for the holidays, selling hats, T-shirts, and signs. Jennifer, would you get some Christmas gifts from there?
Yeah, I would not, but I just want to say one thing. Can we just admire the industriousness of our fellow citizens? Only in America can we become so entrepreneurial and make that into an actual brick and mortar store. I mean, God bless, God bless. I think that just shows Americans are creative. We'll find a way to put food on our table and make money. And by the way, we're going to need it with inflation and gas prices going up. So good for them.
Dan, a final question. If they had Let's Go Brandon shoes, would you get them?
Yes, I would. Anything to attract attention, I'm all for.
I love it. All right, Jennifer Stefano, Dan Geltrude, we'll see you in the next hour. Plenty more still to come on Wake Up America.